This is a pantry-friendly, easy French bread that pairs beautifully with pasta dishes, soups, or just butter. Make smaller loaves for subs or hoagies, or a larger loaf for sharing. As a bonus, I've also adapted this recipe for sourdough for an extra layer of flavor. Hi friend, come on in. This is my go-to French-style bread, crisp on the outside, soft on the inside. While it's not an authentic baguette, those use very special flours, long fermentation, and are baked in steam-injected deck ovens, it's close enough to scratch that craving at home with simple ingredients and tools. Add 220 grams of warm water to the bowl of a stand mixer. If you're mixing by hand, I'll walk you through that after the mixer instructions. Add 10 grams of sugar and 5 grams of salt. The sugar is optional, but it helps with browning since we aren't baking in a commercial oven. Next, add about half the flour. I'm using a blend of bread flour and all-purpose flour. You can use whatever you have, but you may need to adjust the amount based on how absorbent your flour is. My starting point is about 200 grams of flour, aiming for 380 to 420 grams total flour, or until I get a slightly tacky dough. Sprinkle 2 teaspoons of instant yeast on top of the flour. If you're using active dry yeast, dissolve it in the warm water first and let it proof for 5 to 10 minutes before adding sugar, flour, then salt. Begin mixing and slowly add the remaining flour. You'll notice the dough go from wet and sloppy to sticky and climbing the dough hook or central column to a smooth mass cleaning the sides of the bowl. Near the end, add flour only a tablespoon at a time, letting it absorb before adding more. The dough should be slightly tacky, but not sticking heavily to your fingers. Once the dough is smooth, knead it in the mixer for 3 to 4 more minutes to develop gluten. Check for a window pane by stretching out the dough until thin. If it rips, keep kneading. If it gets really thin and stretches, you are good to go to the doubling step. If mixing by hand, in a large bowl, combine the warm water, sugar, and salt. Start with 350 grams of flour and the yeast. Mix into a shaggy dough, adding more flour if it's overly wet. Knead until tacky but not sticky. If you want to knead for full gluten formation, go ahead. Otherwise, allow the dough to rest for 20 minutes, then do a stretch and fold. Shape into a ball and continue to the doubling step. For a sourdough version, combine 180 grams of water, 50 grams of active sourdough starter, and sugar. Stir to break up the starter, especially if you are working with a stiffer starter. Begin with about 340 grams of flour and 5 grams of salt. Mix into a tacky dough, adding more flour as needed. Knead for 1 to 2 minutes and rest in the bowl. After about 1 hour, give it a stretch and fold, then shape into a ball and continue to the doubling step. For the doubling step, place the dough in a lightly oiled bowl, cover and let rise until doubled, about 1 hour for yeasted or overnight for sourdough. Sourdough will depend on the temperature of your proofing area as well as how strong your starter is. This dough is very versatile and can be shaped into baguettes, batards, and rolls or hoagie buns. Place shaped dough on a parchment or silicone-lined sheet pan. Cover with a damp towel and proof until almost doubled. I like to portion out my dough, dusting the surface with a touch of flour. I then roll into balls and let them rest for about 10 minutes covered before shaping. This pre-shaping allows me to combine little pieces into the whole ball and gives the gluten a chance to relax, so I am not fighting it when I begin shaping. Use a small amount of flour for shaping, otherwise some sticking might occur and make shaping more difficult. To begin shaping, tug or press the dough out into a rectangle, a little longer than wide. Starting from the edge furthest away from you, pull the edge towards you with your fingertips and press the edge down into the dough. Repeat this roll and press motion, making sure to press the dough back a little, creating tension in the surface for a tighter log. Once at the end, roll the log seam side down and roll either into a longer baguette with pointy ends or a shorter batard with blunt ends. I am shaping small batards, but I demonstrate the pointy ends before tucking them under. Hoagie buns are just shorter batards. From this recipe, you should be able to get 1 long baguette or batard, 2 short baguettes or short batards, about 4 to 5 hoagie buns, and 5 to 6 rolls depending on size. For clean cuts, use a razor blade and a lame, which is a razor blade holder. Baguettes get 3 to 5 diagonal overlapping cuts down the center. Batards get 2 to 3 diagonal cuts. Rolls or hoagies get 1 long center cut. Serrated knives also work in a pinch. It all tastes the same no matter how many cuts you do, but an expansion cut on top looks better than blowing out the side. For a crispy crust, mist the dough with water or place 2 to 3 ice cubes in a pan on a lower oven rack for gentle steam. For a softer crust, skip the steam. Don't place the ice on your baking pan as you might get soggy bottoms when the ice melts. Bake at 375 Fahrenheit or 190 Celsius for 25 to 30 minutes. Smaller rolls bake faster, larger loaves slower. An internal temperature of 210 Fahrenheit or 100 Celsius signals doneness. For a deeper crust color, bake a few minutes longer. For extra softness, cover warm bread with a tea towel or brush tops with melted butter. This bread is light yet sturdy, making it perfect for garlic bread, subs, pizza bread, or just served warm with butter. If you want more bread recipes, check out my bread playlist linked in the cards and description. This is the same bread I used to make my garlic bread video. If you loved that one, give this one a try. I've also included a link to a free plus printable recipe sheet for this French bread on Patreon and Ko-fi. If you love learning how to cook and bake, hit that subscribe button. I have more recipes coming your way. Thanks for hanging out with me today.